he built an empire out of grief. He carried his father's name like it was armor. And now, in one single envelope, everything Zwelakhe Mackay's believed about himself has just been torn apart. Welcome back, family, because tonight's Kwababa is the episode we have all been bracing for, and I promise you, by the end of this recap your jaw is going to be on the floor just like mine was. Let's not waste any time, because tonight's episode drops us right into the tension that has been building for weeks. Zwelakhe has finally received the DNA results he has been quietly chasing, the results that could confirm or destroy everything he has ever known about his bloodline, his surname, and his place in the Mackay's family business. And viewers, when that envelope opens on screen, you can feel the entire room hold its breath with him. This is not just a plot twist for entertainment. This is a man's entire identity hanging on a single piece of paper, and the writers made sure we felt every second of that silence before the truth came out. We open with Zwelakhe pacing in his office, the same office his late father built the family company from, and you can already tell something is eating at him. He has been distracted for days, snapping at people who don't deserve it, distant with Bahumi even though she has been trying everything to support him through this. There's a small but powerful detail in this scene. The camera lingers on a framed photo of his father on the desk, and Zwelakhe can't even look directly at it. That single shot tells you more about his inner turmoil than any line of dialogue could. Bahumi, ever the loyal partner, tries once again tonight to get through to him, gently asking if he's ready to talk about what's really bothering him. But Zwelakhe, stubborn as always, brushes her off, telling her this is something he has to carry alone. And honestly, that scene right there tells you everything about his character. He has spent his whole life being the strong one, the one who holds the family together, and now that his own foundation is cracking, he doesn't know how to let anyone in, not even the woman he loves. It's frustrating to watch as a viewer because we know Bahumi only wants to help, but it's also completely believable given everything we know about how Zwelakhe copes with pain, which is usually by shutting the door and handling it in isolation. Meanwhile, across town, the tension in the extended family is reaching a boiling point. With whispers swirling that Zwelakhe may not be a blood Mackay's after all, some relatives are already circling, quietly positioning themselves for what they assume could be a leadership vacuum at the company. It's honestly heartbreaking to watch, because instead of rallying around Zwelakhe during what might be the most painful moment of his life, certain family members seem more concerned about status, money, and who gets to sit at the head of the table. This episode does a brilliant job of showing just how fragile family loyalty can be when inheritance and pride get thrown into the mix. We even get a short scene of two cousins murmuring in the hallway about who would be better suited to take over if Zwelakhe steps aside, and it's delivered with just enough subtlety that you almost miss how cold and calculated it really is. Now let's talk about Zwelakhe, because oh my goodness, this woman has been holding on to secrets for years, and tonight some of that finally starts to unravel. For a long time she has dodged every question about Zwelakhe's biological father, deflecting, changing the subject, telling her son that some things are better left buried. But Zwelakhe is done waiting. In one of the most emotional confrontations we've seen from him all season, he sits his mother down and tells her plainly that he is not a child anymore, that he deserves to know the truth about where he comes from, no matter how painful it might be. Zwelake's reaction is layered. Part of her is defensive, almost angry that he would push her like this, but underneath that anger you can see real fear, the fear of a woman who has spent decades trying to protect a secret that could change how her son sees his entire childhood. There's a moment where her voice cracks and she almost tells him everything, but she catches herself at the last second, and the disappointment on Zwelakhe's face in that pause is honestly one of the best pieces of acting we've seen from him this season. You can see him mentally filing away the fact that she stopped herself, and you just know that detail is going to come back later. What makes this storyline so gripping is that it isn't just about paternity. It's about legacy. It's about a company that Zwelakhe has poured his blood, sweat, and sleepless nights into, a company that was supposedly left to him because he was believed to be his father's rightful heir. If the DNA results confirm what many fans have suspected, that Zwelakhe may share a father with his siblings but not through the Mackay's bloodline everyone assumed, then everything shifts. His claim to leadership, his surname, his sense of self, all of it becomes a question mark. And that is exactly the kind of gut-punch storytelling that keeps us coming back to this show week after week. There's also a quieter moment tonight that I think deserves attention, and that's the scene between Zwelakhe and his siblings. Instead of turning this into a shouting match, the writers gave us something more mature and honestly more devastating. His siblings, who have grown up alongside him their entire lives, are just as shaken by the possibility that their brother might not share their father's blood. One of them tries to reassure him that blood or no blood, he will always be their brother, but you can see on Zwelakhe's face that words alone aren't enough right now. He needs answers, not comfort, and that's the tragedy of where his character is at this point in the story. What's interesting is that this scene doesn't resolve neatly. There's no big hug, no tearful reconciliation. It just ends with an uncomfortable silence, which honestly feels more real than a tidy resolution would have. Now let's shift over to Mlobo, because his arc this episode continues to spiral in a direction that honestly makes my skin crawl a little, in the best dramatic way. After being caught trying to access private family documents behind everyone's back, Mlobo is scrambling to cover his tracks, and it's becoming clearer by the episode that he's being pulled into decisions he doesn't fully understand the consequences of. There's a particularly telling scene where his brother-in-law pushes him to hand over sensitive paperwork, framing it as something harmless, something that will simply help clarify the family's future. But we as viewers can see exactly what's happening. Mlobo is being used, manipulated by people who know exactly which buttons to press, and it's setting up what feels like an inevitable fallout that is going to hurt him far more than he realizes right now. What makes Mlobo such a compelling character to watch is that he's not a villain in the traditional sense. He's weak, easily swayed, desperate to feel important within a family that has never really given him a strong sense of belonging. Every time he makes a poor decision, you can tell it comes from insecurity rather than malice, and that's a hard thing to pull off as an actor, but tonight's episode nailed it. There's a small scene of him staring at his phone, clearly debating whether to tell someone the truth about what he's been asked to do, and ultimately choosing silence. That silence is going to cost him, and I think a lot of us watching at home already know it. The family meeting tonight is where things really come to a head. Called together under the pretense of resolving old grievances, the meeting quickly turns into an airing of grudges that have clearly been simmering for years. Accusations fly about stolen money, about disrespect, about who has truly earned their place in the family business and who has simply been riding on inherited privilege. Through it all, Zwelakhe sits mostly silent, watching his family tear at each other while his own identity crisis sits like a storm cloud over the entire room. It's a masterclass in tension building, because you know the DNA revelation hasn't even been fully addressed with the wider family yet, and already the cracks are showing. When one relative demands an apology from someone else at the table and is met with cold refusal, you can feel the entire dynamic of the family shift right there on screen. By the time we get to the emotional climax of the episode, Zwelakhe finally breaks. Alone with Bhumi, away from the noise of the family drama, he finally lets his guard down. He admits to her that he doesn't know who he is anymore, that the name Mackay's has defined him his entire life, and now he doesn't know if he even has the right to carry it. Bhumi, in one of her strongest scenes yet, doesn't try to fix it with empty reassurance. Instead she reminds him that his character, his work ethic, and the love he has for his family were never dependent on a surname or a DNA test. It's a beautifully written moment, and honestly it might be one of the most human scenes this show has given us so far, because it strips away all the drama and just shows two people trying to hold on to each other through uncertainty. The lighting in this scene is noticeably softer than the rest of the episode too, which I think was a deliberate choice to give us a small pocket of warmth in the middle of so much chaos. As the episode winds down, we get a scene that sets up next week perfectly. Zwelakhe, now armed with the truth about his DNA results, makes it clear that he is done tiptoeing around his mother's silence. He tells her, in a quiet but firm voice, that he intends to find out everything, including who his biological father truly is, no matter who it upsets or what secrets get dragged into the light. Slendile's face in that final shot says it all. She knows the storm that's coming, and she knows she can't hold it back much longer. The episode ends on that image, no music, no dramatic zoom, just her standing alone in a doorway, and it's honestly one of the more restrained and effective cliffhangers this show has given us. So what did we learn tonight? We learned that Zwelakhe's world has officially been turned upside down, that the family business is far more fragile than anyone wants to admit, and that Slendile's secrets are finally starting to catch up with her after all these years. We also got to see Mlobo dig himself deeper into a hole that I don't think he's going to climb out of easily, and we got another reminder of just how strong Bohumi and Zwelakhe's bond really is, even when everything else around them is falling apart. Honestly, this episode did such a good job balancing the emotional weight of Zwelakhe's identity crisis with the simmering family power struggle happening in the background. It never felt rushed, and every scene added something to the bigger picture instead of just filling time. The pacing between the quiet emotional beats and the louder family confrontation scenes was really well balanced, and I think that's a big part of why this episode hit as hard as it did. If you ask me, the next few episodes are going to be pivotal, because once Zwelakhe starts pulling on the thread of who his real father is, I don't think there's any going back for this family. Let's also take a moment to appreciate the performances tonight. The actor playing Zwelakhe really carried the emotional weight of this episode, especially in that final scene with Bohumi. You could see the exhaustion in his eyes, not just from the DNA revelation but from years of holding everything together for everyone else. And Slendile's performance deserves credit too, because playing a woman torn between protecting her son and protecting a secret that could destroy her relationship with him is not easy, and she made every one of those small hesitations feel completely genuine. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Zwelakhe is going to find out the truth about his father before the wedding drama with Bohumi even gets resolved? Do you think Slendile is protecting someone specific, or is she just scared of how the truth will change her son's view of her? And most importantly, what do you think this means for the future of the Mackay's family company if Zwelakhe really isn't a blood heir? Will the relatives circling in the background actually make a move, or will Zwelakhe's strength keep them in check even through all of this uncertainty? Drop your predictions in the comments below, because I already have a few theories of my own that I can't wait to discuss with you all. If you enjoyed this recap, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode breakdown. This storyline is just getting started, and trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming next. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next Kwababa review, and until then, take care of yourselves.